now that you've had all these people on, time to go to the bottom of the barrel a little bit. Let's have a regular old guy. Because I was the very first caller on July 20th, 1998. Can I umpire? It appears like you'll let anybody umpire. They're 9 and 10 and 11 and 12-year-olds. Yeah. They're dumb as rocks. Because they brought 2 children with them, just as cute as they could be. They should have just brought puppies or kittens. And I grabbed my crotch.
In front of a grandma.
In front of old people. I was mad when that thing was ended and I didn't win because I was good. Mine was better. And then I believe Mary came by and gave me money to go over to Taco Bell, and I bought tacos. Because once again, I didn't have pockets in my diaper. If you laughed, that's all that mattered. Because it was up to you whether I was on the radio or not.
Welcome to another edition of No Holds Barred. I'm Rich Roth, and my guest today, because everyone else said no, guy who goes by a lot of names, the professor, the sportsline historian, apparently Terrell, or Turl.
Turl, Turl if you say it phonetically. But
WLNI listeners know him, and I want to say love him, but I'm not quite sure about that.
Not all of them. I'm sure there are a few.
It's Wes May. Hi, Wes.
Hey, Rich. How you doing?
I'm good. And while it's not totally true that everybody else said no, there were members of city council who said no. I can tell you that.
Well,
but
you've already had all of them on here, haven't you?
We are rapidly approaching Thanksgiving week, and Thanksgiving week was traditionally the time of the song parody contest.
Yes, it was.
And you really, you made a big splash there after some unsuccessful early performances. And, you know, that was something that we had a lot of fun with, but your track record and history with WLNI radio as a whole is pretty remarkable. How did it all start?
You know, I remember seeing billboards about you can do it in your kitchen or you can do it in the bathroom. It's like, and I'm pretty sure that was y'all when this station was coming on. But there'd never really been talk radio around here. Talk radio to me was John Boy and Billy on whatever.
Oh, so this is going way back.
Way back.
Okay.
Yeah, when there was no talk radio around here. I mean, Paul Harvey, if you caught it on, an AM station on the weekends or something, but there was really no talk. And Brian, the one that everyone loves from the morning line, worked at my company. Mm-hmm. And he was really only part-time. And when he left, I remember him saying, yeah, my mama won't let me sit around and play video games all the time. I've got to get a job. I'm going to be an intern out at a radio station that's like a talk radio station. I said, whoa, okay, great. Whatever that is, not really knowing. I mean, knowing what it was, but like I say, we didn't have there was no Howard Stern around here or anything like that. There was just nothing like that around here. When you got up in the morning, you turned on either the country station, the rock station, or the pop station. That was pretty much it. You had a little bit of news here and there, but it was just not really that. I mean, just music.
Well,
when it started, I mean, I found it very interesting. It stimulated my intelligence, which
good.
Some people will say I don't have a lot of, but I found it interesting. And then all of a sudden, my buddy Brian, and then you had you and Bob Sturm had your show. Mm-hmm. And then when you started with Larry, I remember him saying, dude, call up. We got to have people calling. We got to have people calling. And then I became the crazy caller, of course, for a while, and then worked into a pretty lucrative deal.
Lucrative?
You should know. You saw the paycheck you gave me at the end of the. It's the same I'm getting for the appearance fee today. I don't show up anywhere for nothing.
Wes, let's not bury the lead here. So Brian's mom told him he had to get a job. Yeah, so he got an internship.
Well, he was working out at, I think, at like a furniture place out on 29, about halfway between Foster's and Yellow Branch Elementary School. Mm-hmm. And something either happened there. He didn't like something. He quit, or they let him go, or they downsized. I don't know. For some reason, I don't think he worked there after he had left Hurt and Profit. But he didn't work there long, I don't believe. And, but yeah, I mean, I don't know. Did y'all not pay? I just remember him saying an intern at WLNI, and whether y'all paid him or not, I don't know.
No, historically, interns in media didn't get paid.
I think our interns do get paid, though.
A lot do now.
Because I can't imagine working for free.
It's a different world now.
Oh, wait a minute.
For sure. Yeah, right.
I know, really.
You know what? Another Brian question. You've known him how long?
96.
Okay, so not since school or anything like
No.
Because I know a lot of people are trying to get to the bottom of his nickname, Fish.
I tell him it's because, do you know who Abe Vigoda is?
Yes.
He played on Barney Miller. He was also in The Godfather. And on the show, his name was Fish. Always told him, well, that's your mother named you that because that's what she thought you looked like, was Abe Vigoda.
Okay, so you really don't know.
I have no idea.
Okay,
he won't tell. I mean, we tried.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
So you start listening to WLNI way back in the day.
Yeah.
I didn't realize it was
Imus.
that long ago.
Well, Imus was on when y'all started. Because that's what WLNI stands for.
It does?
Where Lynchburg needs Imus.
Is that right?
I heard that somewhere along the way, but apparently
You've heard a lot of things, apparently.
Apparently it's Lynchburg's news and information, if you put it that way. But yeah, where Lynchburg needs Imus. And Imus was interesting.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I found that was, like I say, it was so different, you know, than like, say, I was used to John Boy and Billy, which is just redneck humor. And this was, I don't want to say more sophisticated, but a wider range of stuff that he talked about and delved into, and guests he had. And it was like, there was no music to just zone out to. It was interesting things being talked about.
So as far as your interaction with the radio station, that really didn't start until Bob had left. And I had taken over the show with Larry and Brian until Brian wound up going to the morning show.
Correct. Because I was the very first caller on July 20th, 1998. 1998.
That's a long time ago.
Yep. I was, I had an 8-year-old and a 10-year-old, and now I'm just a couple of months away from being a grandfather. So,
time flies, man.
Well, it does. I tell everybody I snapped my fingers and turned around, and here I am. I never thought I'd get here without hair.
Now, I noticed you didn't bring the archives with you.
I didn't. I brought a few of the dates of just like when the different shows were on, the incarnations, you and Larry, you and Ed, you and Dennis. I didn't think to bring them. I mean, it's all up here. It's all up here, which is a complete and total lie.
And that's the really interesting part, because, you know, when listening to talk radio, especially here in Lynchburg, you listen to the morning line. They've got regular callers. You know, people get to know other people and who they're calling and or what they're calling about, and, you know, what their politics are and what their likes are. But you really seem to take that whole thing to another level. At what point, and this is almost just ridiculous for me to say, but at what point did you think it was a good idea to start taking notes on the radio show you were listening to?
Dude, this would have been January of 1990. No. 2006.
Okay.
Because I've got and that was the chicken calendar, is what I call it. My cousin, David Ashwell, Halifax, Virginia, works in insurance. And each year he gives everybody the farmer's, you know, insurance calendar. And this one had a chicken on it. And I wasn't living a very structured life. I didn't have to I got to work at a certain time, but you don't know what time you were getting off. I had children that were, you know, you can't schedule anything with children around. But I told myself, I said, I wonder if I can keep up with something. Can I do something every day and keep up with it? Keep a schedule. So I took the chicken calendar. I said, well, I'm going to listen to the sports line. And I started in January of 2006. And
so was this like a New Year's resolution?
Yeah. I wanted to prove to myself that I was able to do something on a schedule. Because I mean,
and you're how old at this time?
What year was 2006? 82, 60, 70, 82, 92, 2000. What, 30-ish?
Okay.
You know.
So you're 30 years old. You have a wife.
Children. Yeah, wife.
You have kids.
We're successful. We've got
You
houses
have a job.
and cars. Yeah, a very good job.
You have a house. You have
Still
cars.
have the same job. Yeah.
and you're thinking to yourself, I need to.
But there was no structure.
Okay.
Like I say, everything was just, like say, the only thing that was really, I had to be at work at 7 o'clock every morning. Other than that, it was all, you weren't sure what time the children had to be at this, what time this. My wife worked third shift. My ex-wife. My wife then had worked third shift. So it was all just, and I'm just like, can I do this? I wanted to prove to myself. Well, so I kept up with it. And each day I would write down in the little square on the calendar, because it's just the little wall calendar, not much space on it. And I wrote down everybody, the guest names and little things that happened. Probably started keeping up with birthdays at that point if you mentioned them. Then when 2007 came around, I showed you the chicken at the end of the year. We were doing like an end of the year show or something. And I showed you the chicken calendar, and you said, here, and you gave me a big desk calendar, like 3 feet by 2 feet or whatever. Well, I still have that. The chicken calendar I gave to you when you and Larry quit doing the show. I gave it to you. I don't know what you ever did with it. I don't know where it is. I thought I'd made copies of it. I found those copies at one point, and then they disappeared again. Must be fate. But I kept, then in 2007, I kept more detail because I had more space. I was able to write more things about it. Then at the end of that year is when you and Larry, right at the beginning of 2008, y'all quit the show, more or less. Do you remember when you and Larry exactly quit?
We quit the show.
Yeah, well, y'all stopped doing the sports line.
Okay, yeah.
Y'all stopped doing however that happened. Y'all stopped doing the sports line at that point. And I remember at the end of December of 2008, I didn't start up another one because I think you had told me, hey, we're going to be going off.
I think it was in February, end of January.
I'm pretty sure that's true. Because were y'all out in Forest at that point?
Yeah.
Because we had the big show.
We left WLNI.
And one of your interns got drunk off eating the fruit out of some moonshine or something. Who was that? I'd like say without the archives. I don't know. I have to.
Oh man, I could picture him right now too. He's a cop now.
I can picture him laying on the couch. That wasn't the one that you made Mason cry because you've killed him.
Yeah.
Is that him? I think he's dead. I think you killed him.
Mark Myers.
Eating the fruit.
Yep.
But so I didn't start the new one on the next year because you said
the Liberty grad who didn't drink.
Exactly. And well, he didn't drink. He just ate the fruit. But then when y'all came back, you and Ed came back, you gave me 3 binders of notes that had been taken by interns. They were all typed, dated, time stamped, from 50 whatever till this time, whoever any guests were.
Okay.
Those were invaluable.
So let's go back to the chicken calendar.
Okay.
So you've got a wife, you've got a family, you've got a job, you've got a house, you've got a car, and you're presumably a well-adjusted adult who needed some structure in his life. So you decide to take notes on our radio show each and every night for 2 hours a night.
True.
Who's the first person who saw that, and what did they say?
Probably my wife.
And was that the end?
What the F are you doing? What the hell is that? What are you doing?
That seems about right.
And I don't remember what time y'all were on at that point, but I'd be working out of town every so often. And this was long before cell phones or anything like that. And
or apps or anything.
Yeah, I would call the house from the hotel where I was staying out of town. My children would turn on the radio station and set the phone right there. And then I could listen to your show wherever I was over the telephone. My kids, they love me. So they would do just about it. Oh, hello, Stephen. Hello, Cody. I had to say their names.
I mean, this is not normal behavior, Wes.
That's what I was told by quite a few people, And as a matter of fact, actually, I think it was like January of 2009 when I moved away from the house.
You,
I was asked to.
you
And I tell everybody, neither one of us were angels. I want to take on more blame than I want to give to her, but neither one of us were angels. That's all I can say. She's the mother of my children. I'm, always had that place in my heart for her. She's doing fine. She's going to be retiring soon. She was a nurse, made damn good money. Threw all that away just because you used those words, well-adjusted adult. I was not
you were not a well-adjusted
I wasn't a well-adjusted adult.
But, now with your wife
Because
out of the way, with your wife and kids out of the way, you had more time to dedicate to taking notes on a radio show.
Well, yeah, because and then at one point I
that
was
you
doing
didn't work for.
I know. Oh, there was no money until the very end when I got the check paying off with all back pay that I made. I like that. That's still at the house. I haven't even cashed. I'm like Ricky Anderson. He gets the bonus check and frames it. And they called him one time, Ricky, are you ever going to cash that check? He's like, no, it's like $1 million check from the Yankees for stealing bases. So he's like, no, I'm not. I'm going to keep it framed right here. Ricky's going to keep it framed, he said. You know how he did. But like I say, I enjoyed your show. It was like, say, once again, different. And once Bob was gone, Bob was a little uptight. Once you started talking, anything about wrestling came up, y'all would talk about anything. It didn't matter. And I enjoyed it. And, it was several years before I got, about 5 years before I got myself into trouble the very first time with the unfortunate comments about plus-size women.
Right. Well, that got you banned.
Canoe tippers,
Right. That's right. But that got you banned.
That did for almost a year. And I still listened. I kept listening because I didn't have anything else to do at that time. Like I say, at that time, 2008, I had a 20-year-old. My son was 20 at that point, 88, 98, 2000. Yeah. So it wasn't like I was babysitting a lot. And the wife was still working the third shift.
I've been told you don't babysit your own kids.
Well, I mean, because of her working the third shift, I guess I don't really want to say babysit them. I just took care of them.
Yeah.
Well,
they're your kids.
Well,
right?
yeah. So no one paid me to babysit for sure. We talked like for the first week, we were going to, let's keep up with how much money we spend on these children. And for like after a week, we didn't have time to write down everything that you was spending on them darn children. Love them to death. Two of my favorite things in the world I've ever made.
Let's back up a little bit. So you grow up in the greater Lynchburg area. What?
Me?
Yeah.
No, I grew up in Campbell County.
Well, that's greater Lynchburg.
It was a long way to Lynchburg. It was a good 15 to 20 minute drive. And when you're like 10 years old, that's forever.
Okay.
We lived out past the airport, lived on Spring Hill is where we were. And as far as I was concerned, because when we got in the car on Friday nights to go to the grocery store and you hit the highway, it was dark until you got to where the Kmart was. There were people's houses there and you might be a porch light or two, but there was none of anything that you see there now.
Okay. Well, semantics aside,
I was a country boy.
Just past the airport probably still qualifies as greater Lynchburg.
Okay.
But we won't argue about that. So you grew up there. You served our country.
I did in the
Army, Navy, what?
Army.
Yeah, you don't strike me as a Navy guy.
No, or a Marine. Marines are crazy.
Yeah,
love them. They are crazy. But I'm not I couldn't have been a Marine. I'm not the Marine type. Army.
What does that mean?
What? Well,
You're
Marines are crazy. Yeah, exactly.
You're not crazy.
You know Tommy Parmenter, right?
I do know Tommy.
Okay, there you go. Takes a special person to be a Marine, and I'm not that guy.
Okay.
By any means, but I made it all right in the Army. But this was the early 80s. Ronald Reagan had been president for a couple years, and they had the thing where you could sign up for only 2 years. And I had a buddy, Randy Mitchell. His brother, Tony Mitchell, used to write sports columns for the News and Daily Advance, Daily Rag.
Right.
But he was in, and he's praising, oh, that's so great, man, you ought to join up. And they had the 2-year enlistment thing. And once you finished basic training, you got a $3,000 or $4,000 bonus. So I joined up for 2 years, and I went to basic training at Fort Benning, Georgia. One of the greatest experiences of my life was basic training. Sergeant Hoyt and Sergeant Mosby, 2 people I will never forget. But those couple of few months I was like 21 years old. Oh, yeah, you want me to do what? Let me show you how I can do that, and I was just ready to go. And it was really great. But then got to the regular duty station in Fort Hood, Texas, and it was just like say, we weren't going to war. Ronald Reagan had been president for 2 years. Nobody was messing with us. We didn't do anything. We drank a lot. We when it got too hot, and it gets hot in Texas in the summer.
I've heard that.
But when it got over like 82 degrees or something, they blew a giant horn and you got off. You just stopped working, whatever you were doing. So we'd go to the bar and drink. So whole lot of that. And I tell people that if you've ever seen the movie Stripes with Bill Murray,
yeah,
that's the army I was in.
That's the army you were in.
That is the army I was in.
So, we've had decorated veterans on, POWs, people who served in, not you.
Yep, nope, not me. Like I say, I took advantage of something that they were offering. Didn't work out for me and I look back now that if I'd have stayed in, because my buddy Randy, who I joined up for, he retired after 20 years in the Army. I would have been retired for like 23 years now. Full benefits if I would have just stayed in another 18 years. But back then, 18 years was a lifetime. I mean, it was forever. And I wouldn't have had the children. And I, say, my 2 sons are a real, I love them a lot. It's just, you've got sons, I mean,
yep.
It's just hard to imagine. It's hard to imagine not having them,
So your 2 hobbies, and maybe this isn't fair to call it a hobby because I'm sure you got paid for it. Unlike taking notes every night for the sports line. But you also were a Little League, or still are, a Little League baseball umpire.
We just finished Saturday. I just had the
fall
ball championship game on Saturday afternoon. I think I had a pretty good game. I was happy with my performance.
And you've been umpiring for how long?
About 21, 22 years. When my son turned 15 or 16 and he couldn't play over at Miller Park anymore and he was playing high school ball, I went to the guy that ran the league and I said, I can't remember who he was. I said, hey, dude, can I umpire? It appears like you'll let anybody umpire. I would like to try because, man, they had so many just fat old men who'd stand there, out. It's like, dude, was that a question? Are you even positive that you're looking? They didn't put any effort in. And I'd been coaching. I'd coached my son ever since T-ball. And when he went to play high school, I'm like, well, I can't coach now. So let me try this umpiring thing. And it was nice money in it. But my philosophy has always been, these boys are working hard. I need to put in a little effort my own self. And I don't care what the adults say. I know I was a coach. I had my role. You had to yell at the umpire and make sure he knew that everything was his fault. But if people do that, I don't care. Now, if one of them comes up to me, Wes, and I think that ball was outside, that last one, I said, dude, I promise you then that I will get in a better position to be able to make a better call. And I didn't do much this fall. I did a lot of games over the end of the summer. You know how hot it was this summer. I took a little bit of the early fall off, and when I finally did come back about 3 weeks ago, I was really surprised at how I seemed to be missed. And I don't want to say this to try to brag or toot my own horn, but the kids appreciate that little bit of effort that you put in. And you can ask all the parents and the coaches, I interact with them, when they come up, because I want them. I love baseball. I love sports. I played sports all my life, played pretty much everything. But baseball is a great, great game. And I get a bird's eye view of all these. And just every game something happens where you just like, you feel good for the kids. You haven't seen it happen before. There's always something. Baseball's just that kind of game.
For example?
Just like the catch. The kid that never catches the ball, and then it's, the winning, if this ball falls in, they're gonna lose. And he makes the catch, and when he looks at it and the surprise look on his face that he even made the catch. The other night, man, because if the ball hits, if you hit the batter hits the ball and it hits a runner as he's going from base to base, the runner's out because the ball hit him. Unless it's already past a player who's trying to field it. If the second baseman reaches to try to field it and it goes right through his legs and then it hits the guy running behind him, he's not out at that point. That happened Saturday. I said, dude, I've been doing this a long time, and I'm not sure if I've ever had. Usually they're always behind him, and the ball hits him before it gets to the plate. But these were playing in, and it happened. I said, man, because everybody kind of like the other umpire looked at me, and I saw the ball do something crazy. I said, dude, I think that hit him. And the coach both of the coaches asked me about it, and I was able to explain that rule. That was another thing I did when I first started umpiring. I studied the rule book. I said, I'm going to miss some balls and some strikes and outs and safe, but I'm going to know the rules. I'm going to know what you can do and what you can't do, because baseball rules are crazy. They are crazy.
Well, not just baseball rules, and it's not just baseball parents, but it's all parents of kids' sports.
Oh, yeah.
And it seems like it's gotten worse progressively as far as interaction, yelling, yelling at kids,
right,
yelling at opposing fans. Parents take this stuff way too seriously in a lot of cases. What's the craziest thing you've seen?
Well, I've always said I've got a pretty long leash because I was kind of a crazy coach myself. When I coached, I told, as far as I was concerned, everything that went wrong was the umpire's fault, and I was going to let him know about it. But I think in my whole career now, I've probably thrown out maybe 4 coaches and 2 players. And I remember, one, he got out and he took his helmet off and threw it towards his dugout, and it went right over the fence and bounced all around. I'm like, dude, you can't do that. And another one was a boy got somebody in a rundown, and when he came up behind him and went to tag him, you could see the look on his face. He was mad, and he came back with that glove and ball, and bam! And the crowd is like, ooh. Guy, you can't do that. Like I say, I think that's the only 2 kids I've thrown out. Now, there's been several times when I've gone to the coach and said, hey, look, man, this is what he did. You need to sit him down. If you sit him down, he can play the next game. If I sit him down, you don't get to play the next game. You're out that game and the next one. So if the coaches agree and put him on the bench and he don't come back in, it's all good. Because I want the kids to know what they've done wrong, and I want them, but parent-wise?
Yeah, parent-wise.
I guess out in Madison Heights in Appomattox a couple years ago. No, my mama's full-blooded Madison Heights. I'm half-breed, so I'm allowed on the other side of the river. I can go over there without getting in trouble, but we were out in Appomattox, and I was behind the plate, and I hear some guy, he's chirping. They are up under the trees. They're drinking. So they're under the trees up there at the Appomattox Fields. He's chirping. He's yelling about how bad this and that. And all of a sudden you hear him yell just like a big, that call was bullshit. Apparently I'm allowed to say that on this interview, but yeah. He said, that's bullshit like that. And I just went, and I started walking down the first base line, and I see the umpire, Alonzo is his name. He's looking at me, and he starts shaking his head like that because he knows what I'm coming to do. And I come down there, and I see the guy. I've seen him. I know who he is. I don't know him, but I've looked over there, and there he is. And I walk on down to first. I said, you are out of here. And he says, you come up here and make me. And I just kind of giggled, and I turned around and walked back to home plate, and the dude running the show was behind it. I said, this guy up here, you need to take care of him. So they grabbed the sheriff, walk on up there, and he's so drunk. Somebody's walking out with him, and he's telling him, I'm sorry. It's like, well, that's just too darn late now that you're sorry. But it's gotten to the point now in Lynchburg that people know me. They know what they're going to get. It's not, I think I did it once or twice this season. I can change a call. If I know I missed it and everybody agrees with me that I missed it, I've got no problem changing a call. It can happen in Little League because we want to get it right. It just has to be right, especially if there's one umpire. If you've got a couple umpires, it's one thing, but we do a lot of them one umpire, and if you miss something, you're screened off by something, and especially the team that it gets the advantage if they say one thing. If they go, yeah, he was on the base, or yeah, he was off. I'm like, well, see, there we go. Which I like about that. We've had years where we've gone through. Some of the coaches were not. Their style of coaching was wait till something happens and then just start yelling what you want them to do. Throw it there, throw it here, it's like, well, you coached them a little bit, maybe they would know what to do. But they're 9 and 10 and 11 and 12-year-olds. Yeah, they're dumb as rocks. They are just. But if they love the game, it makes a world of difference, and that's what I want. I want them to love the game as much as I do.
Wes Song Parody Contest.
Mm-hmm.
I believe it started in 1998.
Mm-hmm.
Is that right?
My first year was 2001.
Okay, but I think the contest
there were
started
3 before me,
in 1998.
And then I started, which I was happy I started in 2001 because that made each year was. What year is it? 2013? Okay, this is my 13th time. I didn't have to think about it or do any kind of math or anything, but.
Well, it's interesting because that started out where we had an extra pair of tickets to the UVA Tech game. And we said, you know what, this will be fun. And I remember, several competitors who, really progressed and advanced. And I think that goes for most of you guys throughout the course of the thing. But the first year it was just come to the studio, put together a quick song. Maybe we'll have music, maybe we won't. Someone will win tickets to the game. And it was just all in studio, and it really blew up from there. But I remember year one, I think it was Jamie did Wheels on the Bus.
Well, it was mostly TV theme songs.
We had a Friends TV theme song. Yeah, we had a couple of...
and Facts of Life. The Facts of Life lady.
It takes a lot to be a fan when you're in Hokie land, running hockey land. Wahoo wah.
Wonder if she's Steven's still alive.
I don't know. That was.
But yeah, the Facts of Life.
That was something.
Yeah. Well, the first couple of years, I think that was kind of things people used for like some TV stuff.
Yeah, and it was karaoke stuff. And
yeah.
KB and Ernest really kind of changed that. They won the first couple years, if I remember correctly, and then 2001 they came in with the Bowl in California after Hotel California.
Right.
And that kind of set the bar at a new level. And then we started going out. We were in restaurants. We were at Neighbor's Place. We were at Big Lick, and then wound up at Cattle Annie's, which turned into phase 2, where things got really big.
The auctions.
You started off in
2001.
And
we were at that restaurant on 29. That's right where the
Ale House.
The Ale House, is that it? Yep, that's where we were.
That's where it used to be.
And it was just
What did you do that year? What song?
I did an Elvis song.
Was it awful?
Yeah, I had the one line, something about the Dookie Blues. Da, 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 and the Dookie Blues.
See, I don't remember that.
Like the Mountaineers or the Dookie Blues, Hokies or the Cavs, which team won't want to lose?
Well, that was the one where you said there was a tie between me and the Conley boys.
Yeah.
There was a tie, and you said, y'all take a couple of days, write some more stuff, pep those songs up a little bit, and then come to the studio and we'll do them. Y'all were in Madison Heights. And we came out to the studio. Well, they came loaded for bear because they brought 2 children with them, just as cute as they could be. They should have just brought puppies or kittens. And that was it. That's
well, their song was better too.
Well, yeah, because I added a little bit more, but I just added like more garbage to the pile, I guess is what it was.
Right.
It was my first one, my very first one. I only worked on it. The only reason I got in, I lost some sort of bet. I think it was something to do with NASCAR. And I said, dude, if I lose that, I'll write a song for that silly little song contest y'all have. And so I did. And after that year, it just something hit me where it's like, man, I think I can, because I remember leaving the station that night and jotting down several things on a piece of paper and putting them over my sun visor of, I can use this song. I can do that. This can be better. I can do this.
And the next year you did a rap song.
I did. And I grabbed my crotch.
In front of a grandma.
In front of old people. I did at neighbor's place.
Yeah.
We did that.
Yeah.
I tell you, Algro, you dress just like a hobo. You really shouldn't wear those sweats, 'cause you know you look just like a loser.
And then, I don't know, like I say, I wish I had a list of, that's one of the things I never made lists of what I was doing. It was all about the show and what was going on the show. But I want to think might have been the next year I did the John Mellencamp, Jack and Diane.
Saturday is the biggest game of the season. Hokies win, they're so close to a BCS bowl. Frank knows they only lose for one reason: if he doesn't have all his good players out on parole.
And I was mad when that thing was ended and I didn't win, because I was good. Mine was better. I had worked on that one for a long time. And then when the game came on, it was so freaking cold up there in Blacksburg, and the snow was blowing over the back of the stadium onto the things. And I'm like, whew, I'm glad I didn't win. But I was mad. I'm like, darn it. And then I think the next year I did the Thank God I'm a Hokie Boy. I think that's when I had my own 2 people playing guitar. I had Dooley and his brother Cheese playing the guitar for me. And that song, because that song I worked on, it was sometime in January when I just popped in my head. Life on the farm.
So you're working on these almost a year in advance.
Almost all year. Now, not all of them were as long as this one. But this one, like I say, I remember it was January because there was snow on the ground. And all of a sudden it popped in my head. Life on the farm is kind of laid back. I sit around all day, my little turkey I whack. Mom works at Hooters. She's got a great rack. Thank God I'm a Hokie Boy. I had that one for months. And then I just started adding. I could have put on because you remember the year I did Turn the Page?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was like a 7 or 8 minute odyssey.
Yeah.
I could have with Thank God I'm a Hokie Boy, I could have had a 15-minute song. I had so many lines written, and I had to whittle them down.
So the interesting thing about it is, you got in and then you started to really elevate your game to try and match other competitors.
Hey,
and
listen.
There were a handful of guys, though, who did absolutely amazing jobs. KB and Ernest kind of raised the bar right off the bat with
Jamie.
Bowling, California. Jamie
did a couple. He had his band.
The Boss?
Jeff the Boss Maxwell.
And then your biggest nemesis.
Doctor, the dentist. What's his darn name?
John Howard.
That's it, Dr. Howard. But I got him with a couple of good songs, so it was fine.
Yeah, I mean, you had lines, about him and his family, and he was firing back, and I'm sitting there thinking to myself, how did this get here? It started off as a stupid little contest, and then
that's what I called it.
You even pointed out, the show went away for a period of time when Larry and I both left radio.
And the only people you had talking about it would have been Mary and Brian.
Mary and Brian were talking about it, but we brought the song parody contest back.
Yep.
And so we did it without a show. Yep. And that was really cool.
For a couple of years.
Yeah. because it survived, and I think that was at the Big Lick location, which is now La Coretta, next to Lowe's on Timberlake.
Okay, that's right.
So we did over there a couple years. And, but it wound up moving to Catalani's, where it just got super big. And, I mean, hundreds of people. And, we're putting the lyrics up on the big screens. And we started videotaping. And I think we'll have a couple clips. But, as you got into it more, tell me about the level of competition and, why this thing was so damn important to you.
Well, because I hate to lose. I'm super competitive. And there's so many things that I can't, like if I'm playing somebody in basketball that's, 6 foot tall, I'm not winning. I'm football, I played, but I'm not, But something like this, I felt like I kind of, even though I can't sing, which I do think that I kind of molded some of the songs or picked some of the songs that worked with my voice better than Elvis, something like that. But I wanted to be the person that won the contest. It didn't matter what the prize was. It never matters what the prize is. It's winning. It's being the best. And
I mean, that still is in effect today, is you're on the morning line winning as often as you can.
Well, yeah, and if like during the baseball season, they were giving away a bunch of Hillcats tickets, and I'd call up and say, "Yeah, Biscuit, if my name comes up," because apparently they use the random thing and to pick that. I said, if my name comes up, man, draw someone else. Because I probably had a ball game, on a Friday night. Used to be busy on Friday nights, but now I can do baseball games because nothing's on Friday. But like I say, I mean, it was something that I wanted to do. And I had notes written down, from one year that I would pull out the next year and say, oh, I can use this or this will work. And, going through all the songs that, because I grew up listening to old rock and roll and Southern rock and country. I did that Charlie Daniels song one time, Long Haired Country Boy one time. I did that sitting down. I did not win, and I shouldn't have. Because it was not a good song. But when I put myself into it, I knew what was good and what wasn't. And I liked doing it, and I wanted to beat Jamie mainly. But and then Dr. Howard was just fun, because he tried the gimmicky thing too with the little kids. And I think it might have worked one time, maybe twice.
What was your best song?
Oh, Don't Hand Me No Wine.
Don't hand me no wine and keep your cheese to yourself.
Don't hand me no wine and keep your cheese to yourself. That was another one of those songs where I wrote so many lyrics. I had verse after verse after verse. And it's a little long too. I think it's about 5.5 minutes long, but it's okay because it's good.
And it moves.
Yes.
Like Turn the Page is a very slow, drawn
yes, it
out.
is. And
Great song.
Yeah,
but when
Bob Seger does it, it's a great song. Yeah. But like I say, because and that was another one of them ones where I just kind of the first verse came to me.
Which one are we talking about now? Hokey Boy?
Don't hand me no wine.
Don't hand me no wine.
You could talk about, I had, of course, sex with animals, incest, drug use, drinking, all the things that make a great song parody song. But it was funny to try to make it different, but still be the same. Because there was a formula. There was a formula. You badmouth, the other team, say, I did have the one year, what song was it? I talked about Frank's neck.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did that. And it was all good, except for that part. That was the rap. I think that was the rap, wasn't it?
I don't remember.
Yeah, I said a lot of things about his neck that I don't think I was as well informed about why his neck is like that than I am now. So didn't get canceled.
One of the interesting things, and you mentioned Jamie before, but he wound up getting Bill Roth, the voice of the Hokies back then, and I guess he's back now calling football games. but he refused to come on our show because of a song Jamie did. And we're trying to explain, dude, this is just fun, man. It's just people blowing off steam. Yeah, people are ripping tech, but people are ripping UVA.
Exactly.
And, you know, I mean, it really was in the spirit of a rivalry. And
I completely agree.
Sometimes people went a little bit too far, but it was really good-natured fun.
I completely agree. I mean, you know, and Jamie, I have to give him the props because he had a record I could never beat. He was the only person that was in every song parody contest. But yeah, I mean, like I say, there were times when my main concern was to make sure that I did better than Jamie. And I think we both wound up with the same amount of first place wins.
What was the best song parody ever?
Oh, the last one.
No, I'm saying the best song.
Bowl in California.
Bowl in California.
We'll come to the bowl in California when we take first place. In the BCS race. The Hokies will zoom to the bowl in California. So break out the beer.
On the bus really.
It's time to kick some rear.
And to me, arguably, Don't Hand Me No Wine.
You think it was right there?
That's when I got the band, the Aces Wild Band. We had the drummer, the guitar players, backup singers. We had the whole kit and caboodle. And it wasn't just the comrade playing, or it wasn't just somebody strumming a guitar, or it wasn't karaoke. Yeah, I think that made, because at that point, that's when y'all got, what was the name of the band y'all got to back up everybody?
We had Casey Wood.
Yeah, because
right?
I didn't use them a couple of times. I didn't need them. Because I know the first year I had somebody play music for me, it was Cheese. And Dooley was like, I gotta go hunting. It's Thanksgiving, I'm hunting that week. And after Cheese told him how much fun we had doing it, man, can I do it next year? Sure. And I had 2 guitar players, and then they're like, we're going to get the band together.
So bands started coming in. I think Jamie had the first band.
He did. They weren't very good.
And then we had Casey Wood, who teaches at EC Glass. He teaches music at Glass, and he had a band called the Ruckus.
Yep.
And then they kind of became the house band, but you brought the Aces Wild Band, and people would bring their own. And this thing really went to a whole nother level. And
well, yeah, my band guys knew the other guys. They knew them. I mean, it was like, I guess, the clique of band guys or whatever. Because I was never a musician. You know, when I was first like, I'm going to sing, people laughed. They laughed at me. And that was just another thing. Just another reason to push me up on top of that mountain.
Just another thing. So Don't Hand Me No Wine was your favorite and you feel your best effort.
Yeah. And then I want to thank God I'm a Hokie boy. And you know, to this day I can't sing that whole song in my head, even Don't Hand Me No Wine. I can't do the whole song because I can't remember all of the lyrics.
Yeah. You know what I loved most about the song parody contest was it kind of, you could listen to a lot of the songs and figure out what happened during the year, right? Because it was about the rivalry, it was about the teams, the games.
There were a number of songs like that.
And obviously some got into other things, like you said, stereotypical UVA stuff, right? Wine and cheese, stereotypical Hokie stuff, sheeps and incest,
animal husbandry,
right? All kinds of good stuff. But it was always really in good-natured fun. And then, several years ago, we did what was the last one, at least for now. Never say never.
Don't you dare! When you sent me that text about
Dennis wanted to bring it back. Dennis really wanted to bring it back.
Well, it's like I said, if you did, I'd have to do it. And there's just no way I could say no, but I wouldn't want to because somebody at work laughed about it. Chad said, I remember when you were writing them songs because we would be working together. And I'd be like, hold on. And I'm down there writing a lyric down. I remember being at the beach one year, man. And I had walked down the beach. And it's the nude beach, so I don't have any pockets. So I'm down at the other end of the beach, and a lyric pops in my head. And I'm just like, oh my God. And I start running, and I'm saying it, I'm repeating it to myself so I don't forget it. It's like a great, like, I don't know what it was, but it was a great lyric, and I had to run back to make sure that I wrote it down.
So wait, you're at a nude beach running?
Well, yeah.
It's great imagery right there, Wes. Thank you.
I probably have a video.
Yeah, I don't think anyone needs to see that.
Nobody wants to see that.
Nobody wants to see that.
Well, what's funny is my picture on Facebook. I don't have any clothes on.
It's great to know.
But you can't tell. You just can't tell.
And now everybody who goes to your Facebook page, that's all they're going to be able to think of. Like, oh,
I can only hope.
What's your favorite line from any of your songs?
I want to thank the first verse of the "Thank God I'm a Hokey Boy." Just, life on the farm's kind of laid back. Sit around all day, my little turkey I'd whack. Mom works at Hooters. She's got a great rack. I did have the one about the G-MILF and Don't Hand Me No Wine. Something about, and I can't, because I've got all them other songs in my head. I can't make it come out right now, but all of my lyrics are like my children, so I can't really put favorite titles on them.
Understood. But now, obviously, No More Sports Line, still super involved with the morning line. Tell me a little bit about, listening to that show. And, I mean, I'm not going to ask you political questions, but I mean, is not one of the most entertaining things they do talk about city council these days?
Oh, yes, definitely. And the thing that makes that show so good, man, is Mary and Brian.
Mm-hmm.
They've had several other, and Biscuit fits right in. I'm so happy with Biscuit. They've had some along the way, but Mary and Brian are just they're so good together. And even though they can be just diametrically opposed to something, they work so good together. I know that little short time when she left for a while, it was like, Brian's okay. But I'm sure pretty sure I told him, I said, yeah, you're okay, but
you're okay.
But without Mary, it's just not the same. It's not like that's better or worse. It's just not the same. And they allowed me, to say things I wanted to say. They were talking about things that I found interesting.
They have a great balance on their show, don't they? Where it's good informational stuff, good fun stuff, contests. Yeah. I mean, you talked about Biscuit, kind of comic relief, right?
To a certain extent. The tattoo. I mean, because he's been around longer than you think. It's been several years now since Biscuit's been around. Because he kind of started with y'all, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And that's the thing. I used to keep track of the interns, and then I stopped.
Yeah.
They're not worth it. Low hanging fruit. But I've just thought, like, say, the political part. I was thinking the other day, I don't really know that my parents, growing up, I knew they were Republican, conservative, but it wasn't something that we really talked about. We didn't sit around the table and discuss politics or whatever. I'm almost thinking, they're the type that are like, you don't tell people how much you make. You don't ask people how much they make, and you don't tell people who you voted for. I think Mama's more like that kind of thing, but I'm conservative. I mean, I don't mind saying it. There's several people on y'all's show. Dude, I think we had a Marie Martin sound-alike contest.
We did.
And George from the morning, he was part of that. He came to the studio. You had them all out there, and everybody had to read the little, so it all sounded, it was the same thing to see if they could sound close enough. But, I've never.
You remember more about my show than I remember, by the way.
Well, the feathers, chicken, the honey and feathers.
Yeah, you did that.
I did that. The
The diaper.
Did the diaper. What else?
For people who don't know what that is, tell them.
This was a NASCAR. I was leading you in a NASCAR fantasy league by so many points. And I was like, if I lose this, and it was maybe 3 weeks left, I said, if I lose this, I'll stand on the side of the road in a diaper. Just popped it out. And then like the next 3 weeks, my top drivers all had DNFs, every one of them. And I went right on down below you, and I'm like, you have got to be kidding. So I got my wife to bring me home an adult diaper from the hospital. I stood out on the, it's an Exxon now, right across from the Kentucky Fried Chicken and right across from Popeyes.
On Woods Road.
Woods Road. Stood out there with a sign. It says, this is what I get for opening my big. And then you had the little symbols like you have on the cartoons, my big effing mouth. And I remember the bus driver pulling up and opening up the door. And he said, what in the world did you say? I said, you don't even want to. I opened my mouth and made a stupid bet is what I did. And then here I was. And then I believe Mary came by and gave me money to go over to Taco Bell. And I bought tacos. Because once again, I didn't have pockets in my diaper to go over there. So, but that was the diaper thing. And it was, like I say, it was fun to do. You know, I don't know why, because it wasn't like I was getting a whole lot of, it wasn't like I was doing it in front of a stadium full of people. I was doing it for the radio show. And, you know, the people that saw me on, half of them probably had no idea what I was doing there. And then it was the reaction that I got on the show. I think I enjoyed that, you know, is what I enjoyed, without having to actually be a part of the show, you know, to be on the show, you know, just to be a part of it. I enjoyed that and not having to do any real work.
And then you became more incorporated with the show as the historian, coming on daily at one point and then weekly with, you know, just, hey, here's what happened.
Oh, yeah. It used to be just whenever I had something. If I had something, I called you up. And I did some of them on like voicemail, where you would call and I would have it recorded on the voicemail, doing it where I was out of town or something.
So what do you do with your time now?
Watch TV. They had a contest on FETV, which is Family Entertainment TV. I watched that channel, Family Entertainment. They play the Munsters. They were playing the Munsters, and they had a contest, a trivia contest. At the end of each day, after the end of the episode, they asked you a question. You went to the website and put the answers in. And I answered them all week. I answered each one. And then I get the email. I won. I won a little tote bag and a bag of pretzels, pumpkin spice pretzels, and a bag of pumpkin turtles.
So it's just the same thing with a different medium.
Yeah, like saying it's not really the prize that's important. It's winning the contest. And then I get the email, then they had all the winners. Each day they gave like 25 prizes. So I don't know how many people actually were sending in, whatever, but my name got picked. So I like to win. Like I say, I like to be considered better at things when I put my mind to it. I just like that.
Well,
you know?
I got to give you this. I mean, as far as listeners go, fans of the station, fans of the show, and you were so much more than that, but I mean, just remarkable, you know, your lack of, it's not going to be a kind word that comes out here, Wes. Your lack of anything better to do.
Well, and you know, the morning line, I was usually riding to work. Now, there came a time when I had a boss tried to get me fired for calling in to the morning line. Wanted me fired. Called up over to the radio station to get a copy of me on the air from Brian. And Brian told him, said, if you want to hear him on the air, you need to record that your own self. But he didn't like the fact that if I was called, like, we were driving to Blacksburg one day, and we were right just out of town, just past the Sheets there on 460. Driving to Blacksburg, and I called the show up, and he fussed at me about that. People know that you're on the clock, and you shouldn't be calling. I said, dude, nobody knows who I am. Nobody cares about me. And, you know, now all the big bosses at my company know, because y'all have had Biff Johnson on several times. He knows that I call into the show. I feel like if I would do something that I shouldn't be doing, I would have been told about it by now. You know, I kind of feel that way.
What morning line caller would you love to get in the get in the ring with? The octagon. Who do you want to battle?
Ooh.
And it doesn't have to be a fight. Who would you like to go one-on-one with on the air?
Oh, well, I think Alan would be funny because I want to feel like it would be easy. Just might be easy. I don't know.
Get that easy win you want so
Well,
bad.
He hasn't called all week, I don't think. All last week after the election because he had some comments that were controversial, maybe. I don't know. Whatever. But it's funny because you've had over the, Paul. I wouldn't want to. Paul, if Paul gets on, he says, "Oh well, yeah, what Wes said, I agree with that." I'm happy all day long because I consider Paul to be a fairly smart dude when he calls in. It's almost like he's written a script, but I don't think he has because he doesn't really have time to do that.
Who would be writing stuff down about a radio show?
Well, dude, I wish I had some video of me like doing the Friday night, after I had my intro and the Friday night. I had stuff laid out because people, they'd be like, "How did you remember all that stuff?" I said, "I didn't remember nothing."
Well, do me a favor. Shoot us a text with a picture of the archives.
I can lay them all out. I'll have the old ones and the new ones and the big calendar.
Maybe
I thought
splice
about
into
bringing. I
this.
was like, but no, I've brought those before.
Well,
I didn't think this was really going to be about the archives. But
this was just about,
I'm wondering what's going to happen.
WLNI's biggest fan.
I think so. I'm pretty, like I say, I know I was the first caller to your show. I'm pretty positive I was the first caller to Brian and Mary when they started together. I know I was the first caller of the new millennium to Brian and Mary and to you. I think I've got you about every year that I was the first caller for New Year. I'm pretty sure. Like I say, it was just, it was almost enjoyable. Now, there were times when I would wake up on Saturday morning over the last year or two of the show, and I'd pull the books out, because if I waited till the end of the week to write my show, it wasn't as good. If I sat down on Saturday morning while ESPN was on or whatever movie I'd wrestling the night before, Friday Night SmackDown, and I wrote down what was happening and maybe a joke I thought of during the week, it might be Wednesday. Ooh, I'd come up with a joke and I'd write it down. It got to be, it was hard work.
A lot of people
times.
think you're crazy, right?
Well, see, I enjoyed writing the jokes. The jokes were fun to see. And my main thing was I could care less what anybody else said as long as you laughed. When I was on the radio, when I was doing my thing, and I'm saying what I'm wanting to say, and I've got it written down, and as I'm doing it, I'm writing line. I'm taking an ink pen and writing a line through it to not do it again. If you laughed, that's all that mattered, because it was up to you whether I was on the radio or not. It wasn't up to anybody else at all. You were the king, and I figured if I could make you laugh, which I seem to.
Did you hear that, Trish? Could you say that again?
And I seem to, on quite a few occasions, I seem to make you laugh pretty good about some things, and I would check that off and be like, next year, make sure, and then I could
So you had your own little algorithm. You're
yeah.
kind of keeping track of what works and what doesn't
and
work.
dude, I would sit down. I got to, once, like in the song contest, I figured out after a few years, there was such a thing as a rhyming dictionary. Had no idea I could look up a rhyme. So once you looked up and all of a sudden, I don't have 5 words that I'm thinking of. I've got 25 words that I could use. And for the song contest, I would watch Saturday Night Live, which I've been doing forever anyway. Write down a joke and cater it to the song. I didn't have to do anything. It was right there for me. But I feel like, say, that was part of the trick.
Tricks of the trade.
Yeah, to make sure that, I was able to have something that was better. And, of course, as we know, the very last song contest, which was an all-star edition, everyone that was in that contest had won before. Do you remember who won that contest?
I think it was probably you.
It was me. You don't even have to say probably. It was Wes. I don't even remember what song I did. Oh, it was Billy Joel. You may be right. Yeah. You know what I mean by that. Show the wahoos our butt crack. 'Cause when we're in Seaville, that's a Hokie smile. Yeah, that was a good one. That was a good one. But like I say, it's all about the song choice. You know that.
Big part of it.
People pick some songs some year that would have had a great, the lyrics were great, but turn the page.
Didn't have the energy.
Nope, not at all. And if it had probably been a 3-minute song with some really, good lyrics, would have maybe been okay, even though it was slow. But that's when I realized, man, yeah, you got to have something a little peppy. That's why Long-Haired Country Boy didn't really work.
Yeah. Something people know, a song people can relate to,
Exactly.
something upbeat, something fun, all that stuff.
And I think most of the people that listen to the sports line were in my demographic kind. I mean, you didn't have a bunch of teenagers listening, I don't think. And they were older people that had probably knew the songs that, because I know that's the thing about Greg T. Every time he did one, and he did some good songs, I don't know, what is that? And then you hear it later on, oh, that's that song Greg used. It wasn't like,
right. Makes a difference.
Thank God I'm a Country Boy from John Denver. That's the song apparently they sing that in Germany at the football games or something. They're singing that song. It's like, Germany? It's John Denver.
Well, the Denver song everybody does is the West Virginia song, Mountain Mama, Take Me Home.
Oh, I used that. I did that one too. Yeah, that was the one I had about Just Go Home, Old Al Grove.
Old Al Grove.
Oh, Al Grove, just go home to the place you belong. It ain't Virginia, you Yankee mother. Just go home, please, Al Grove.
Yeah, lots of memories. Great history of the Virginia Tech rivalry, the song parody contest, and you were a huge
because I started out, I think, as a Hokie more than a Virginia.
Oh, I thought you started out as a Virginia, and then you switched to the Hokies, and that was it.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Because with the turn the page, I'd shaved a V into my chest, and I ripped my shirt open and had a V shaved into my chest. But by then, I'd lost the crowd. I mean, it was just, I'd lost them. I was 7 minutes into a song that they just kind of lost interest in. And I'm pretty sure the comrade was playing the guitar for me, and he wasn't doing a good job either. The comrade.
Oh, Wes May, my guest here on No Holds Barred, WLNI's #1 fan, listener, participant, caller, whatever you want to call him. But Wes, it's been a pleasure catching up with you.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. Like I say, after you had a few of your guests on to start the show off with, I sent you an email, said, hey, now that you've had all these people on, time to go to the bottom of the barrel a little bit. Just have a regular old guy.
And this is what that looks like.
And that's me. But like I say, been at the same job for almost 40 years now, been umpiring for a right long time. I am kind of surprised that I haven't done anything where at some points you or Mary or Brian or somebody said, that's it.
No more.
No more. You go away. Now, you did that the one time. I'm not sure how much of that was show and I was really banned, but I was banned. I wasn't allowed to call, so. But it was what made me into what I am.
Well, I appreciate all you did for the sports line and the song parody contest, and we had a blast, and certainly appreciate you sticking around with the morning line and having fun with them, and Mary and Brian are doing a great job. But
I think so.
I thought it'd be fun to just have a conversation with you, person so many people who listen to the radio station know, and just learn a little bit more.
Now they can put a face to the voice.
Well, yeah, just learn a little bit more about what the hell goes on inside that head of yours.
And my mama's proud. Hi, Mama.
That's enough. Thank you, Wes.
Thank you.